After Arsenal signed Riccardo Calafiori, a lot of speculation has followed Arsenal around. From what are we going to be doing now, which player are we selling, which player are we buying, and from us now reportedly agreeing personal terms with Mikel Merino to be linked with both Victor Gyökeres and Julian Alvarez. In recent reports from several reliable sources, Arsenal are now reportedly heavily interested in getting former Manchester City winger and current Bayern Munich player, plus someone that tore us to pieces last season in Leroy Sane. And to me, instantly, I'm in love with the idea of getting Leroy Sane into Arsenal. I think he could be a huge addition to this Arsenal team and to this Arsenal squad as a whole. And at the right price, I will struggle to see any negatives of adding someone like Sane to an Arsenal team competing for the Premier League title against the Goliath that is Pep Guardiola and his Man City squad. But just what makes me so excited about the potential of getting Leroy Sane, and why do I think this could be an extremely good move for Arsenal and our Premier League title hopes? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Gunner Central here. I hope you're all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, after signing Riccardo Calafiori, one thing has become apparent with Arsenal's transfer policy for the window. Get players in that can contribute now while adding good quality depth. So basically, instead of focusing purely on improving the starting 11, focus on just building as strong and deep of a squad as possible. Calafiori adds to the quality of depth at left back and left centre back, and him and Jurrien Timber will probably compete to be the starters in that position. Last season in the Champions League, with injuries to both Zinchenko and Jurrien Timber, we had to field Jakub Kiwior at left back. Kiwior had some really good performances at left back prior to that, but he got absolutely cooked in both legs of the quarterfinals against Bayern, and more specifically against Leroy Sane. Even Tomiyasu got cooked by Leroy Sane. So adding Calafiori means that even with a couple of injuries, we still have plenty of depth out wide at left back and at left centre back. And with us willing to sell Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Aaron Ramsdale, and now having sold Emil Smith-Rowe and potentially bringing in someone like Mikel Merino, the target seems to be for us to just improve the squad as a whole, as opposed to just strictly the starting 11. And when you look at a team like Man City, their squad is absolutely stacked, and that seems to be the formula to winning leagues and winning cups. You have to have a stacked squad. Mikel Merino would certainly add to our midfield depth, and if we get someone like Victor Gyökeres, then up front we will have the likes of Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and Victor Gyökeres to choose from. And then the only real weakness in our squad, when all is said and done, would be out wide. Now, the depth at right wing is just absolutely horrible. Saka has no direct backup, and realistically we have 3 wingers that you would want to start in a big game. Just 3 wingers. Those guys being Leandro Trossard, Gabriel Martinelli, and Bukayo Saka. If we have an injury to one, maybe 2 of them, we are in trouble out wide, and you'd have to see guys like Gabriel Jesus play out wide. Reece Nelson, although I like him because he's from the academy, if we're being honest, he just isn't quite good enough to help carry a team if an injury happens. And Ethan Nwaneri, like I said in one of my previous videos, he would be an awesome squad player at the age of 17, and he'd be a really decent backup, but adding Leroy Sane into the mix would just improve the squad so much. Now, the ex-Schalke and Man City player can be absolutely unplayable and destructive when he's on song, playing mainly as a right winger, but Leroy Sane can, if needed, play on the left hand side, or if absolutely needed, Leroy Sane can play as a 10 or even a striker if needed. So that's one box that he checks for Mikel Arteta. Leroy Sane is a versatile player, and he's also fairly tall, standing at 6 foot, which is tall for a winger. Sane is at 28 years old, still extremely rapid, and would be one of the quickest players in our teams without a doubt. He's an extraordinary dribbler, and his overall ball retention is just phenomenal. Leroy Sane is an extremely good chance creator from out wide and thrives in expected assists and expected goals, showing that he is almost always a goal threat in one way or another. He is an elite ball carrier when going forward, and he can raise the tempo of a team in just one fast run. Now, Leroy Sane's goal efficiency and finishing can at times be lackluster, and sometimes his decision making in the final third isn't always the greatest, as we saw in the tie against us, that despite ripping Kiwior and Tomiyasu a new one, Sane still got 0 goals and 0 assists in 2 games against us, when arguably he should have at least got a goal and at least an assist. Sane can also be wasteful with the ball at times by overplaying, but regardless of his downside, Leroy Sane is still a very high level player and is in the prime of his career. Now that's all well and good. Now you might think to yourself, well, with him being as good as he is, him being in the prime of his career, coming off of a season where Sane got an impressive 10 goals and 13 assists in 42 games, and him being valued by Transfermarkt at 70 million euros, plus playing for one of the biggest teams in the world, how on earth could Arsenal even pull this off financially, especially if we still want to get someone like Viktor Gyökeres? Well, one huge thing that makes this deal very possible this summer is the fact that Leroy Sane has just 1 year left on his deal at Bayern Munich, with reports that Sane is not willing to extend his deal at Bayern. If that is the case, that would force Bayern Munich to have to sell Leroy Sane this summer or lose him for free at the end of the season, meaning that Arsenal could get a very good cut price for the German. Arsenal are getting Merino for around 20 million euros, at least reportedly. We got Calafiori for around 45 million euros. We sold Smith Rowe for 35 million pounds, and we still want to sell the likes of Eddie Nketiah, Ramsdale, and Reece Nelson. We could definitely have the money to pull off a cut price transfer for Sane and still maybe have money for Viktor Gyökeres. Say something around 45 million pounds, the same paid for Calafiori. That should get the job done for Leroy Sane. Now that may be too optimistic, but again, with just 1 year left on his deal, Bayern almost being forced to sell, 45 million euros should get the job done for someone like Leroy Sane. Sane, without a doubt, would be a huge asset in a team like ours trying to compete for the title. He is versatile enough to add depth to both wing positions. He'll be awesome in helping provide much needed cover for Saka. He is in his prime of his career, which at this stage of the project is perfectly fine with the fact that he's not extremely super young. We don't have to go for necessarily the youngest players anymore because we are in the time of our project where we just need to win silverware. Leroy Sane knows how to win silverware and will certainly help us in terms of veteran experience of winning trophies and overall just being so good on the field. And to get someone of the quality of Leroy Sane at a cut price because there's 1 year left on his deal, doesn't want to stay at Bayern Munich, like we are doing with Mikel Merino by playing the market, and because we're going for Merino because it's a market opportunity, the same should be done about Leroy Sane. At least inquire to Bayern about how much Leroy Sane will cost, and if we were to bring in Leroy Sane, I struggle to see any negatives of adding Leroy Sane to this team. He's going to improve the depth, improve the quality of the team, improve the leadership, and he is a player that knows how to win trophies. He's extremely quick. I can't see a downside of bringing Leroy Sane to Arsenal.